Good day, Angelinians. Paxit Venya Adeo. Confucius once said, choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. As senior high school students, it is high time for you to know, or at least to have an inkling, of the job that you want to have in the future. The sad thing is, there are a number of senior high school students who are still undecided on what track to take in grade 12 and the course that they are to take in college. Angelinians, please remember this. Choosing a job you love involves careful planning. That includes your performance in senior high school because of your chosen track in preparation for college. There are steps to follow if you would like to discover important details about your interest, which will guide you to choose your grade 12 track. When you have assessed your qualifications, you may do then some research about your chosen course in college. After years of specializing, you need to start preparing to get yourself employed. That is why you need to learn how to write an application letter for employment or cover letter. It will be at this or at that point in your life that you are to ask the following questions. The first, what is a cover letter? And the last question, do I have to write one? Let's now answer the first question. What is a cover letter? When we say cover letter, we simply refer to a job application letter. So, this is a type of personal business correspondence which states your intention to work in a particular organization. So, this is actually the start of your quest to develop your career and find avenues for professional growth. A cover letter can also be a response to a job advertisement. By job advertisement, we refer to jobs posted or published in newspapers, announced on television, or sometimes published in social media platforms. For cover letters, when we respond to job advertisements, we call them specifically as solicited application letters. So when we say solicited application letters, we are submitting them as a reply to what has been announced of a job vacancy. A cover letter is also an unsolicited inquiry to a prospective employer as a part of your direct mail strategy or a letter to a recruitment agency. It is in here where we are to identify the meaning of unsolicited letters of application. So, unsolicited letters of application are written not as a reply to a job advertisement. The job vacancy information came from a person you know who is connected to that company. And lastly, a cover letter should be enclosed every time you send your resume. While some online job applications do not require an application letter, corporate experts say that Employers are more likely to read a resume which is accompanied by a cover letter. Your communication skills, especially your method of writing, will be looked into by your prospective employer as you may be given the chance to get hired and represent them. The cover letter that you will be submitting will reflect on your competency in making proper and impressive office correspondence. Regardless of the circumstance you may find yourself in, it is wise to research about the company and the job you are interested in. You may also call the company's HR department or human resource department for further information or to get a copy of the company brochure. And to answer the last question, do I have to write one? Okay, so most likely, yes. That is why we encourage students to look at the cover letter as a marketing tool for their success. The cover letter allows you to clearly point out your achievements, skills, and express your interests. This is your chance to brag about yourself, to showcase that you are the best candidate or applicant for the position. It is also very important to emphasize here that when you write a cover letter, you need to thoroughly provide the details in a correct manner as set by the rules of formal writing. Your correspondence must show how good your communication skills are for you to get hired. Your cover letter should not be viewed as a supplement to your resume, but a chance for you to go into further detail about why you are the best person for the job through experiences or skills that may not be written on your resume. Just like the other letters, a cover letter also has parts. In your module, you will see the parts divided into introduction, body, and conclusion. Let's start with the introduction part. For the introduction part, you are to introduce yourself and state your purpose in writing to the receiver. So this states your full name, degree earned, and honors received to market your credentials. Next, you are to indicate your source of information about the job vacancy. How did you learn about the position that is available in that company? Was it solicited or unsolicited? If it's solicited, you learned of the job advertisement posted in the newspaper, magazine, or published on the social media platforms or sometimes posted in the net. Okay, so for unsolicited, do you have a personal contact in that company? The third, add an interesting statement about yourself that will cause the reader to continue reading your credentials. Okay, so this may include your outstanding skills or traits in achieving an award or recognition in school. Okay, and in the introduction part, you are also to show your enthusiasm to work in the company, your eagerness to join the company by saying your qualifications match their requirements. We now proceed to the body part of your cover letter. So, in the body part, you are to present your work experience, academic qualifications, trainings, and some personal qualities with specific evidence. So, this is the start of building up your credentials. Second, organize your paragraphs accordingly. Okay, so you may segregate them or separate them by theme. So one paragraph for work experience and another paragraph for educational background. Or you may organize according to function. So for example, you have the management, financial, and technical functions. If you are a fresh graduate, work experience here could refer to the on the job trainings or workshops you have completed as a student. The third, explain the benefits to the employers if they hire you. Okay? So do not simply give facts, explain how these facts will contribute to the company. You may identify an academic award or student award you have received. Tell them your level of work values or ethics in achieving those awards. For instance, instead of merely telling the company about the trainings you had, you may say, I have extensive training in copy editing. You will save both time and money because I will need little training in this area. You need to be as specific as that one. And in the last part of the body, refer the reader to a specific part of the resume that suggests your strongest credentials for the position. That is why resume and cover letter always together or always go together as a partner or in pair. And the last part, okay, of our cover letter is the conclusion part. So indicate your interest for an interview at a time most convenient to the employer. So if required, specify the time you are available for an interview. So this tells the company your eagerness and interest to get the job and be a part of their company. Okay, the second, indicate how the interviewer can contact you. Okay, so you should have more than one contact number if possible. You may write down your smart Globe, TM, talk and text. Now there are this ditto numbers and even landline numbers. So in this manner, the employer or interviewer would be given a lot of options. Therefore, you are getting bigger chances of being contacted or called upon by the interviewer. Okay, and then the third, for the conclusion part, express an expectation of a positive response from the employer. So this tells them how interested you are to be hired. Okay. And then, of course, as a sign of or a matter of courtesy or politeness, thank the employer. So we now proceed to the cover letter evaluation checklist from Mount St. Joseph University, Ohio, in USA. So this enumerates the things that we need to double check before submitting or sending our cover letter to our prospective employers. So, first that we need to check is regarding the format. So, you are to use appropriate font, size, and ink. You are not free to choose your font style. Okay, so recall the appropriate font styles for professional writing, such as Times New Roman, Helvetica, Arial, and Garamond. And then you are to use letter sized bond paper. Okay, the next to check for the format. So all professional documents are consistent in font and paper type. Okay, so if you started your letter using Times New Roman, all the font of all of your words should be Times New Roman. It should not be a combination of Helvetica in your salutation or Arial in your complimentary close. Next to check is the page margins. Okay, so page margins are appropriate and the letter has an overall balanced look. Okay, so use 1 to 1.5-inch margin on all sides. Also, it is very important to check for typos, spelling mistakes, and grammatical errors. Okay, so be sure to have correct grammar, spelling, vocabulary, and usage. So avoid jargon, cliches, obscene language. Any typographical and grammatical errors may cause the reader to doubt your competence. So remember, this helps you create your professional image. Next, you need to format your letter in a standard letter style using block format, okay, or using those formats that we have discussed for the business letter format, such as full block, modified block, and semi block format. Also, we need to include an appropriate greeting and closing. So, as published in your module, never begin your letter with bland and generic phrases such as, enclosed is my resume for. Okay, so to be more creative, you may use the following strategies. Begin with a question that stimulates the reader's interest. Lead in with the name of someone you both know. Example, when Dr. Gilda Nomer mentioned your name in a conference, or start out with the quote that applies to the type of business of the employer and explain how you learned about the job opening you are applying for. Okay, so remember that the appropriate greeting and closing, or the salutation and complimentary close parts of a letter, specifically for an application letter, has this degrees of varying levels. So we consider our cover letter or our application letter as a formal type of letter. Therefore, we need to choose our salutation and complimentary clothes that are formal. Okay, and then if signing, signature is in blue or black ink. Okay, so I remember when I was still a part of the AUF College of Education, whenever we would be receiving letters, all of the letters are usually printed in black ink, and we are asked to sign using a blue pen. Okay? And then the cover letter is typically 1 page in length. Okay? But if you think that you needed more pages, you need to limit the letter to 1 or 2 pages only. We now proceed to the content. So your cover letter must be specifically tailored to the job description and organization. So this directs you to always match your letter to the job description and job requirements being asked. This means that each letter should be tailored to the specific job you are applying for. So you are to include work experience related to the position you want to be hired for. If you are applying for a teaching position, you are not to include your summer job ventures such as pharmacy or store assistant and others that are not related. Okay, so be specific with the position you're applying for. This way, the employer can assign you to the position or job where your skills are adequate. So, your cover letter must also be well organized, clear, concise, and to the point. Okay, so be direct to the point to keep the attention of your reader. Beating around the bush is not allowed and needed when writing a cover letter. So address the letter to a specific person. If you have a problem of not knowing the specific addressee, you need to call the company and ask. Why? It is always to the applicant's advantage if he or she knows the full name of the company's president or head of the department. Okay, your cover letter must also be reader centered rather than self centered and keeps I and my to a minimum. So avoid mentioning opinions about yourself. When you do or when you claim one, be sure to support it with specific and factual evidence. Example, if you say in your letter or if you write in your letter that you are goal oriented, support it with an award or recognition you received when you were still a college student. This is appropriate when you are applying right after graduating in college. So you need to focus on what you can do for the company. Okay, remember, they're looking for their own benefit. If the company will consider your competencies for the job, they know that you will be an asset in their company. Okay, so your cover letter must state your skills and your experience that will benefit the organization. So, how are you to do this? You may highlight 2 or 3 of your most significant accomplishments or abilities. As an applicant, you would know beforehand the expectation of a company from its employees. How can you achieve this? Miriam Salpeter advises in US News and World Report that candidates or applicants should study the company's website and look for repeated keywords or repeated words and phrases, taglines, and hints about their philosophical approaches. Then mirror some of their language and values in your resume. Also, be factual. Never misinterpret yourself by overstating your experience and skills. You just need to write the truth about your skills. In short, do not exaggerate. Okay, so also remember that it must also contain complete sentences with strong action verbs such as established, explored, gained, improved. increased, and others. Your cover letter must demonstrate energy and enthusiasm while still being professional. So please remember that when you are writing an application letter or a cover letter, you are not to beg for the job. Okay? You're not to write sentences such as, please call today. I'll be waiting by the phone. I am desperately eager to start. Okay, so do not use or do not write those sentences. Remember to believe in your qualifications for the job. Okay, next, your cover letter must include your complete contact information, such as your name, address, phone number, and email address. So avoid superfluous information. Do not begin with, let me tell you something about myself. My name is. Moreover, do not include too much specific information such as dates, numbers, names, places. Choose and include hard factual information. So this means your completed degree is real and you just did not obtain it from recto or any commercial providers of fake diplomas or fake certificates. That ends our discussion about the cover letter or application letter for employment. Thank you, and may the good Lord reward us always.